Hey everyone, MacLeod here with another D&D Fuzzy Tale. This story is by user Redman1986, about a player who makes a cruel prison guard when the rest of the players are prisoners, gets attacked and abandoned when said prison players escape confinement, and is somehow confused by this treatment. Let's begin. This happened in the first session of a game I started. The game itself was Force and Destiny, the FFRPG Star Wars game that focuses on Force-sensitive characters and how they can grow and develop in the shadow of the Galactic Empire, typically between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi time-wise. My game was set shortly before the Battle of Yavin, first Death Star being destroyed. Character creation was pretty open-ended. The only guideline was that they would be starting out as prisoners at an Imperial work camp. So they needed to come up with backstories that would explain why they would be prisoners. They said they could work with that. All except one. My Todd. Todd didn't like the idea of having to be a slave, nor did he like the idea of being a prisoner of war. He came up with the idea of being a guard, part of the Imperial Army tasked with watching over the camp. I asked him how a Force-sensitive would have been able to reach any position of importance in the Empire, and he just hand-waved it by saying that Finn in the new trilogy was Force-sensitive and nobody noticed. I accepted that, but told him he would likely not know he was Force-sensitive until things started happening in the game. He was okay with that. I assumed he would be willing to work with the rest of the party once they all got together. Todd did not do that. Right out of the gate, right after I get done explaining the frigid, icy region of the planet they inhabit, he starts behaving like Clancy Brown from the Shawshank Redemption. He stomps his way through the main mining floor, picks out an NPC prisoner that didn't get out of his way fast enough, harasses them violently, and rips the heat pack from his suit. All the guards and prisoners wear thermal suits powered by these charged heat packs. Without them, they will freeze, and the only way for prisoners to get more is to be productive. So, in essence, the first thing Todd did was sentence a random NPC to a slow, miserable death. When I tell the other PCs where they are in the mine and give them their current scenario, they begin talking in character. After a minute, in comes Todd, blustering about, "Get back to work!" and "Who's talking?" and gives one of them a wallop from his truncheon. One of the other PCs considers braining him with a pickaxe, but he's a good player, so he doesn't commit Session 1 team killing. The prisoner PCs continue digging, overseen by Todd, and find their group resource, an old Jedi holocron, read plot coupon, that activates and does some psychic nonsense that shows them a path through the stars, while also informing them of their sensitivity to the Force, and this connection they all share. They start having a conversation about it, realizing they might have a legitimate destiny ahead of them. One of the cooler-headed characters recommends sleeping on it, and since it was nearing the end of the shift, they decide to sleep on it. All except Todd. Todd immediately decides to go to his superiors and report that one of the prisoners found a piece of contraband in the ice and refused to turn it in to him. I stared at him baffled and asked him why he was selling out the other PCs. He does the classic move and says, "It's what my character would do." Smash cut to a late night raid of the prisoners' quarters. Guards bust in, rouse everyone up, start tossing beds and get everyone lined up against a wall. The PCs get singled out due to Todd's tip and start getting escorted outside to be executed. One of them makes a move, a brief fight ensues, and they manage to take down the pair of guards, taking them out. One of them is able to use his powers to disable the personal lock on the guard's weapon, so now they're armed. They rush back in, take out the other guards raiding the quarters, and arm a few more NPCs for an impromptu uprising. And where was Todd during this? Well away from all the action. He seemed content to wait in the guardhouse with his sergeant while the raid went down. It was only when the player-led uprising reached the guardhouse did he start to act. His actions were mostly hiding and ordering the surrender of NPC prisoners. To his credit, he didn't attack his fellow players, so I'll give the guy that. With the players doing a lot of the legwork and rolling well, the guards are going down left and right, the prisoners rolling over them. The prisoner players push to the landing pad on top of the guardhouse with the intention of stealing a vessel to escape in. As they're making ready to take off, Todd says, "All right, I guess if you guys are going to hijack the plot, I'll get on the ship. I'm confused for a second, before one of the other players responds. I get in the way and block his path from getting on the ship. I tell Todd what he's seeing and Todd looks surprised. What are you doing? Aren't we getting out of here? Yeah, we're getting out of here. You can stay. Todd jumped to his feet. What? Why? Why wouldn't we? You're not one of us. You beat the crap out of us, killed a guy for getting in your way, and sent a raid to execute us. You're not a companion of ours. You're just some asshole. Todd glared and said the phrase that never helps. I'm just playing my character. The rest of the players shrugged. So are we. Todd makes a few more protests. He mentions the destiny the holocron laid out for them, but they are not having a word of it. When the door to the craft is closing, he makes one last push to force his way in that does not go well, and the ship goes flying off to warmer climes. Todd puts on a salty look and says to me, Well, I guess I'll have to hunt them down once I'm out of here. I nodded at him. I suppose that's possible. What are you going to do about the riot, though? What riot? He'd forgotten about the prison riot destroying the facility. He tried to sneak downstairs but had no ranks in that skill. He got noticed in short order, engaged in a combat with the prisoners, and got the tar kicked out of him. The scene ended up with them hurling him from the roof of the tower to his death. And that's pretty much where session 1 ended. It was a few more sessions before Todd was willing to remake, and I was kind enough to let him come in at the same XP as the rest of the party. The rest of the game he was fine, but I'll always be a little baffled by his decision to play a cruel prison guard and expect his victims to be hunky-dory with him. Honestly, I really don't know what Todd expected by making such a character. The idea of making a guard could have been quite interesting if said guard had helped the prisoners escape. But with the way he played him, expecting the other players to be friendly with him shows some lack of self-awareness. What do you think? Well, tell us what you think in the comments. Take care, and I'll see you next time.